Brodey,
Paulie,
welcome.
you welcome.
Episode 4 of Did You Save?
Let's go.
How's everything going? How's your week?
It's going. I am back to work after a decent amount of time off, so I'm getting back into the work mode, trying to adjust my sleep schedule. Not working so well, but it's nice to have something to do again. That's not just gaming. What about you, my friend? How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. I did something last night. I figured I'd talk
Ooh,
about it. It
talk
was
about it.
so I ended up doing a role-playing stream. So
Mm-hmm.
say it was a game I mean, you saw it, but I'll just explain it to everyone. It was Friday the 13th, the game. There is one Jason and there are 7 counselors, and the goal is for Jason to obviously kill the counselors. The counselors have to escape the camp.
Right.
So I have a friend. His name's Milton T. Pike, and he does role playing. He does GTA role playing. He's friends with all the professional role players in the server, and every single year for like a week, he gets together a bunch of people to do a game of Friday the 13th, and it's a blast. Everyone has a round at Jason, and they all get into they get into their role playing and stuff like that. And I was lucky enough to do one of these sessions, and man, you don't realize how talented these role players are until you're hanging out with them.
In the
And
thick of it.
these are some talented cats, man. The like professional role players on Twitch,
Yep.
they are some talented cats, and they're just so good at what they do. They know how to get into character. They can do different voices, and they sound great, and it's so entertaining. But
It's
yeah,
practically acting, It's like digital acting,
it really
basically.
is. So I was very intimidated hanging out with the big boys, but I had a fun time. I got to try some like role playing stuff, and it was fun.
hmm I
So
will
it
say
was
you killed it. You killed it. Everyone in chat was having a good time. We were all laughing. It was a blast. It really was.
I'm happy people had fun. I think the biggest takeaway for me is I was really intimidated.
I mean, that's just natural. I feel like that's kind of like a big like first event for you on that scale too, right?
Yeah, yeah, it
Yeah.
is my first time really
That's
like
fair then. That's fair.
collaborating.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, that's basically just like how my last week was just kind of prepping for that,
hmm
organizing, all that stuff. It was a fun time though.
Makes sense. I'm glad you had fun with it.
So let's get into the gaming.
Gaming.
What are you playing right now? Anything good?
So the dawn of VR has come in
Ah,
our friend group, and I'm
oh,
so happy.
oh,
I'm so
jeez.
happy. Uh-oh. I've been preaching
I
it. I've
may
been
or may
preaching
not
it
have
for a
been
while.
sucked into this
Yes, you were.
vortex.
With the Quest 2 coming out, a bunch of us have gotten it. I have the Quest, so I've been using that, and I also have the Rift S, the Oculus Quest, Rift S, and Quest 2, for clarification. But it makes VR super easy now. It's affordable for the most part. You can play inside the headset, or you can play off of your PC, so it's super easy. And we can kind of like testing the waters for all of the new VR friends, basically.
Hmm.
So recently, we've been playing a game called Rec Room. And Rec Room is basically this multiplayer game where you have a little avatar and you're basically in like a YMCA almost. There's like this open area where you can just kind of like mess around, toss a frisbee, like shoot basketball hoops, do a bunch of stuff. But then there's also like offshoot activities. So you can do like a 4-person mission where you're fighting robots or casting spells or play like laser tag, paintball. It's so cool. It's almost like an MMO, but not really. Um, it's just such a great entry into social VR, and then like multiplayer VR in general and VR in general, honestly. The interaction is really smooth. There's a lot of options for what you do and the movements so you don't get sick. There's like user generated content. So we were looking around like the office from the office. We were in some like anime areas.
I
It's so
couldn't
cool.
believe it, man.
It's
And
crazy. Yeah. The
so
stuff
we
that
were
you can make in
like,
it.
So we were like literally in the office, and I think the best part about it was the little details they had. They had
Exactly, yeah.
Kevin's chili on the floor. They had the Homer Simpson doll. It was the hole in the wall from Andy.
It's so good. Yeah.
Oh, man, it was wild.
Yeah. But yeah, there's like a lot of user generated content. There's a lot of like game generated content. It's awesome, and it's free to play, which is even better. There's like microtransactions and stuff, of course, but for the most part, it's free to play.
Yeah, I kind of see it as like the Wii Sports, like the package.
It is.
Like
It
game.
really is.
It's so good.
It should honestly come installed on like every headset. Like I wouldn't even be mad if I got that and it was just there. But yeah, it's made by, I think it is just Rec Room, like incorporated, or Rec Room.
Oh, really?
They make it. Yeah, it's not even like a studio. They do Rec Room, and that's it. It's on Steam, Oculus, PSVR, and there's even an iOS app. I learned you can play it on mobile, which is really cool. But yeah, if anyone has VR or an iPhone, apparently definitely should check it out. It's so much fun to play with friends, especially.
All right, now that I'm becoming a part of this VR clique,
yes,
I think we're almost ready to do a main topic on VR.
Yes, let's go.
I think we're almost ready. Maybe
that.
give it like another week or two,
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
But we talked about it probably like 2 or 3 weeks ago. We were just like, let's talk about VR. I was just like, I can't yet,
I need some input. Yeah.
And now I feel like I can. I think it'd be cool hearing, because you're more of a vet, quote unquote vet when it comes to VR, and I see myself as, obviously I'm a rookie, I'm new, and I can give, you can give the vet experience, and I can give like first reactions and thoughts and stuff like that. So yeah, maybe we can do we could finally break out into that VR main topic soon. Cool. So
what are you playing?
So there's this game that was recommended to me a while back, I'd say about 3 months ago, and it's been number 1 on my Steam wish list. Number 1, and I was just kind of like waiting for a sale or something to grab it, and then I saw they were bringing it to the Switch, and I was like, oh, perfect, like this will be my time to finally grab it. And they dropped it on the Switch, and the game is called Supraland. SUPRA Land. Supraland. It's really cool. It's basically a 3D Metroidvania style game. The style is kind of Minecrafty, first person. You start off with a wooden sword, and to hit people, you just kind of tap, 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 whack, 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 All
right,
you kind of have that movement similar to Minecraft, and that's kind of like what your perspective is like. Yeah. I don't know if you're familiar with like the claymation stuff. I think it was like a YouTube thing a while back. But that's what all the characters are like. They're like, Gumby style characters.
That's wild.
Just like red and blue stick figures and everything.
Yep.
But it's really cool. It's Metroidvania style, which is one of my favorite genres. You just start off as the stick figure, and you get a sword, and you're placed in this sandbox type area, and you just got to go. Like literally, there's no like direction or anything. It's like, all right, I see an area over here that I can't access yet. Ooh, I see this vendor over here has a double jump. Oh, well, now I got to go grind coins to get that the double jump. Go to different areas, kill enemies. Oh, now I can afford the double jump. Now I can access this new area. It's just stuff like that. It's really simple. It's really cool. It's very charming. The music's pretty atmospheric. Nothing to run home about. But I'm having a blast so far. And yeah, it's just every time I see like something I can't access, I'm like, ooh, I'm probably gonna need like a grappling hook or something like that. And I'm just kind of waiting to, you just keep advancing. You keep finding new areas. And I'm having a blast with it so far.
That's awesome. Yeah, since you first brought it up, I looked up some videos, and it looks like it's like charming is like the perfect word. It looks so good.
I think keyboard and mouse would be good, but this game fits right in on the Switch. It's a perfect little right before bed type game. And yeah, I'm probably like, I want to say I'm 4 hours deep right now. I'm having a good time.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, that's what we're working on. Let's talk about a upcoming game that we're excited for. What do you got for me?
So
I wonder if we have the same one.
I don't think so. I doubt it. Yeah. To quote the theme song, we gonna be talking about bug snacks.
Oh my god, you troll. Go on.
It's not a
I
troll.
no,
It's
I
a
know,
song.
I know. It's like a joke, but not a joke, but also like,
No, it really is.
but also
Yeah.
like, hell yeah, like go on.
Bug Snacks is a game coming out from Young Horses, I believe, is the name of the
Really?
developer.
Never heard of
Yeah.
them. Are they
Yep.
like an up and coming developer?
I think it's up and coming. Yeah.
Cool.
So they've been working on this game. I did a little research for like, I think it was like 6 years or something, 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
And it was because they formed the studio more of like as a hobby. So they didn't want to get like burnt out on it. So they were kind of just like developing it for these years just to do it almost. It was kind of cool. But yeah, it's like a single player adventure game, and you traverse Snacktooth Island, I think, and you try to find and capture these different species of bug snacks, which are like half bugs, half creatures. And it's like everyone just looks super cute, and all the characters have like snacks like as a part of them, and I don't know, it just looks super, it looks fun. It's coming out on Windows, Mac, PS4,
Oh,
PS5.
I thought it was a PS5 exclusive.
It is not.
Ooh,
but
okay, good to know. Good to know. See, I'm learning here.
Different platforms. Exactly. And then yeah, it's coming out November 12th, and then with PS Plus, it's going to be free. So everyone's going to be able to try it if you have a Sony console. And yeah, ever since this game got announced, I've just been kind of like, this looks so cute. Like I just kind of want to try. It's like Ooblets, you know. It's like that form of like attraction in a game. You know, it just looks cute. It looks fun. So and it has like, I think there's like a twist of like dark humor in it too, which is going to be interesting, which Ooblets also kind of has. So it should be a good time. I'm excited for it.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, just based off that, I think I might be trying it out.
Yes. Plus Kira Bonita made the theme song, and she's amazing. So
it's coming out free
on PS Plus. So if you have a PS4 or PS5, when it launches with the PS5, it'll be free.
Right.
So you can snag that before it gets taken off for the month.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna.
Oh yeah.
Definitely gonna try it out.
I'm excited.
So yeah, as we're getting closer to it, I figure we only have, this might be my last chance to say I'm excited for it. Obviously, we got all the new, new consoles coming out, which is gonna come a bunch of games, bunch of hype, yada yada yada.
Yep.
Man, I'm really looking forward to the new Assassin's Creed. Valhalla looks really good. I don't know, something about the style I really like with this one. I'll be honest, the last Assassin's Creed I played was Brotherhood, and I had a blast with it. Wow. Yeah, I heard Unity was just kind of like, I mean, I don't know if that's anyone's disappointing launches, but I heard Unity was was really like trying not to swear, a crap show of a launch, and
like a buggy mess.
Yeah, and that, I don't know, I was working. Was I? No, I wasn't at the time, but I just heard about it, and it kind of turned me off to the series. And then once I stopped with the train, I went 1, 2, and then I went Brotherhood, and I wanted to keep rolling. And then I heard this about it, and then I was like, maybe I'll just stop playing Assassin's Creed, and I really haven't picked one up since. So I don't know. I've been really craving for that just big single player experience that I can just have for myself, Yeah.
Yeah.
But it looks great, man. I mean, it's going to be coming out on the next gen consoles. I think it's going to be the first game that I play on my PC that is like that style game, like a kind of open world adventure. Because normally because I just recently got into PC gaming, and I normally only do like, competitive games or puzzle games. I really haven't like dove into like my own single player experience on the PC. Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to that. Looks great and should be fun. I mean, come on, look at it.
Yeah, it looks beautiful. I love Norse mythology, so I'm sure that's going to be really cool how they incorporate that. And yeah, the Assassin's Creed genre or type of game has come from more like the quest oriented to like RPG, like actual RPG. So I am looking forward to it too. It's definitely on the list.
Awesome. So, are there any games out there that you would recommend to some friends that they may not have heard of? A sleeper game.
So I stuck with another VR game for this one.
Cool. I want to hear these. Now I'm new to the VR world. Hit me with it.
It's such a sleeper. Most people won't even recognize this game. Even like some VR vets that I used to would talk to and stuff. But there's a game called Accounting Plus. It's a little more popular now. And basically what Accounting Plus is, it's like a single player, what's the best, like, narrative exploration game, I guess might be the best way to put it. And basically you basically put on the headset, you start the experience, and you're in an office, and you are there as a candidate for this new VR experience that will benefit accounting in like the profession and make people more efficient, basically. So you are playing VR in VR. It's like that style of game. Right, mind blowing. So to start the game, you have to put the headset on and everything.
Right.
But so this game is made by a developer called Crows. And also, it was Squanch Games before Squanch Games was Squanch Games. Squanch Games is Justin Roiland's studio.
I figured that. I can only imagine that
exactly
was something to do with Rick and Morty.
Justin Roiland co-created Rick and Morty. He's absolutely hilarious. So basically, this game is just a bunch of different scenarios that you go through. So like the first one, you're in this little wooded area, and there's just this one big tree and a couple other objects. And this dude will pop out of the hole in tree and just like pester you and annoy you and like talk to you and communicate with you. And you move over to different areas, and he'll be like, "Oh, nope, don't touch that. Don't go near that. That's mine." Like, just like that. But then as you do stuff, it's Justin Roiland, so he starts like cursing at you and like getting like real raunchy. It's so funny. I think there's maybe like 10 or 15 scenarios. I can't remember exactly, but it ends up with you being in this court case for something that you do in the game. It gets like super meta. It's a blast. I highly recommend it. It's hilarious. It's a little bit dark humor again, and it's another great like VR intro game. I think it's on Steam. I know it's on PSVR. It's out there. I highly recommend it. It's hilarious.
It seems like every VR game I've heard so far, it hasn't had a developer I've been familiar with. So it seems like like they dedicate VR developers stick kind of like to, VR games.
A lot of VR games besides the big like AAA ports or whatever,
sure,
are coming from a lot of brand new indie studios, which is really cool. So they're literally just forming their studio around this new technology, which is awesome because you're focusing on putting 100% of your work into VR, not like this game and then it has like a VR part to it. You're building it from the ground up for VR, which is what a VR game should be.
Cool. My sleeper game, a game called Radiant Historia. It is a JRPG. It originally came out on the DS, and it was actually, I don't know if it was a remaster, but it was brought to the 3DS. I want to say 2008, 17,
okay,
17 or 18, which is definitely the definitive experience. If for whatever reason anyone does want to catch this game, play it on the 3DS. But Radiant Historia is a JRPG, and it's developed by Atlas. So right there, you got a trusted developer behind it. So this game's definitely got something going for it. This game is very unique for JRPGs. First of all, I mean, the premise of the game follows time travel, which, that's it's kind of like a quote unquote no when it comes to like media and entertainment. It's just like
it's
once you introduce time travel, then this and that. I think that's more of a factor when it comes to like TV shows and movies and trying to identify lore, backstories, and people get into
continuity,
conspiracies, and yada yada yada. But so basically this game, your name is, I think it was Stock. Yeah, just Stock. And basically you have to. It's a cliche storyline for the most part. Everything the A to Z, like A and Z, is kind of cliche, but everything in between is really deep and fun. You have to stop the world. You have to travel. So basically, the goal of the game is to travel to certain time periods, and you have to do something, and then you go back in time, and you or vice versa, and you see like the consequences of like what happened, and then you have to follow through with the consequence of what you did, and it just kind of follows that path. It's
Wild.
it's pretty linear for the most part, but it's really cool because you get to see like, oh hey, if I went back in time and did this, how would that affect, and then come back to the future, how would that affect obviously the butterfly effect, yada yada yada. But it's really cool how they did it. I think my two favorite parts about this game were the music. I'm a big music person when it comes to games, and I think JRPGs do it the best. This game's soundtrack, it is, I'm not saying like this it's good. I'm saying it's like I could fall asleep to it. It's so well done. It needs to be brought more to the public. It's fascinating. But the battle system's really interesting. It kind of reminded me of, did you ever play South Park: The Fractured Butthole?
Oh yeah.
So you know how you have the kind of the grid, and you can move vertically and horizontally along the grid. You start off left to right, but you can move characters up and left and right, and it's pretty cool because it's a little more strategic. So it is like a turn-based game, but it has a couple extra layers to it where your attack could hit, say, maybe like 3 squares in front of you, and you can turn that too. So you can like hit the 3 in front of you, you can hit the 3 to the right of you, behind you. So like you start off with, like any typical battle, your character's on the left, the enemy's on the right, and the battle can actually end with like you on the right and the enemy's on the left. It's pretty interesting. But it's a fun game. It's really well done. The combat is great. Man, you get to that first town, you hear that music, you're like, yeah, I'm engrossed in this.
I'm in it. This is a game.
It's really good. Highly recommend it. Came out, like I said, I want to say 2010. Came out on the DS originally. If you're gonna play it, the 3DS version is the way to go.
That sounds awesome.
Yep. Radiant Historia by Atlas.
Radiant Historia. The time travel aspect really like catches my fancy. Like I don't think I've played a game where you like alter time and then deal with the consequences of like what you did.
It's really cool. It's very well done.
Cool.
The art is beautiful too. Very colorful. You got your typical, like pixel art style stuff. But it's really colorful and really atmospheric. It's very well done game.
Definitely looking into it.
Hell yeah. Cool. So let's get into something. Let's get into the main topic. We wanted to stay pretty broad with this one. Our main topic this week is spooky gaming. Do you want to start it off? What do you think of? How do you feel about it? Go. The floor is yours. Spooky gaming, or Halloween, whatever you want it to be.
Yeah. Obviously, we wanted to do this now because Halloween is literally 2 days away. It's right around the corner. So there's no better time to talk about spooky gaming and Halloween and all that. The first thing that's like super interesting to me about spooky games and Halloween and everything is that it's almost like the only specific time of the year where people focus on like a genre of games. Like, yeah, you have games that are like Christmassy, you have that's really it almost. But Halloween has kind of obviously absorbed the horror genre entirely. So it's always interesting to see when October rolls around, like immediately October 1st, people are like scary games. And it's sometimes
not even just games, it's everything.
It's scary everything.
Yeah.
It's literally scary everything. Exactly. So it's just really, it's cool. It's interesting that even if people don't like scary games, and this could be like a normal gamer, this could be someone streaming on Twitch, whoever, that because it's October, it's like, oh, I think I'm gonna try a scary game now. You know what I mean? And like someone like you, who you just mentioned it on your stream earlier too, is that scary games like aren't really your thing. That's not something you'll just go out of your way to play. But then I feel like that's like a majority of the people, yeah, they'll just do it anyways because it's October. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I wonder if a lot of it is because of content and you feel obligated to. You know, like everyone is streaming like spooky games and everyone wants it, and it's just, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's fun.
No,
I think it's good to have, I think it's good to have that change in, you know, like mental pace where it's just like, you know, you have the, you know, the weather starts to change, which is awesome. You start to get into the fall, the leaves start to change. So everything's like changing and stuff. And I don't know, it's really cool. So as you were saying earlier about me not being the biggest fan of spooky games, I think there's such a wide variety of spooky games. Really, so you have like, you have the weird like atmospheric games that are like spooky toned. Maybe a good comparison is maybe like The Last of Us or something, you know, dealing with a pandemic and stuff like that.
Yeah, you could say like The Last of Us, like a BioShock type game.
Yeah.
Where it's just like the environment is spooky, but it's not like a horror game, you know?
And then you have, you know, your like jump scare games and stuff like that.
Actual like horror games.
Yeah. So so I played a couple over, you know, obviously like we were saying, everyone's doing it. It's what everyone wants to see. So over the past couple weeks, I've played Resident Evil 7. I played BioShock, which I think are two kind of like, you know, like we were talking about how there's like jump scare kind of games, and then BioShock, which is more of like a creepy, atmospheric, steampunk type environment.
Action game with horror elements.
Exactly. Phasmophobia, which everyone is, you know, really hyped about right now, which is pretty cool. I don't know. It's just like, maybe I'm being a party pooper, but it's just, as someone who's just like a veteran gamer, I feel like I'm doing this for, I don't know. I feel like I'm following the footsteps of just like everyone else when it comes to this time of year. I don't know if it's a bad thing or a good thing. You know, everyone's having fun. Everyone loves the spooky games. Yeah. And me, I'm just doing this because I feel like I have to. Obviously, you know, I thought Resident Evil 7 was pretty decent. I ended up beating it. BioShock, I'm having a blast in. Phasmophobia, where it's just like a jump scare game, or just like a ghost type game. It's
Phasmophobia is more of a gimmicky game versus like a Resident Evil or a BioShock.
Yeah, I think
it's cheap for a reason. That's all. Like,
right? Yeah,
it kind of says it before you buy it. You know,
the thing that blows my mind is like I have a bunch of friends that have put like, you know, over 100 hours into this game, and I'm just like, okay, you know, the first 10 hours is fine. You get that, you get to experience the places, you get the jump scares, you meet the ghost or whatever is attacking you or whatever, and then it's just like I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like, where's the entertainment after that, after you experience the game? Right. Is it the thrill, the adrenaline of being like shocked? But like, how can you be shocked if you already know what's coming? You know, like things like that.
It's weird.
I don't know.
With Phasmophobia specifically, it's super weird because you're not really hunting the ghost. You're just kind of like detecting the ghost. So, you know, if there was like a mechanic where you actually had to like trap the ghost and catch it and actually like, you know, fight it, versus like, oh, we saw this, it's this, let's leave. It's like, oh, okay, that's the game. And like some of the ghosts, like if they had like a specific style for each ghost, it would just seem much more attractive. There's so many small little things that game could do like a tad bit better. It just doesn't. And I'm super surprised that it's not, because of how popular it is. Like, I don't know if the developers are even still supporting it. Like, I don't know exactly what's going on, but Phasmophobia is super interesting. I will admit, when I first started playing it, I did have fun. You know, I was spooked a little bit, but it's because you don't know what's coming, right?
Did you play it in VR your first time?
The first time I did not play it in VR. Okay. The second time I played it, I did play it in VR. First time it wasn't like it was a game. Second time in VR, it was scary.
Oh, I can only
you're in
imagine the
pitch
immersion.
black, you're hearing things like behind you and stuff. But then, like the next time I play it, I'm like, okay, yeah, you just like yelled in my ear, or you did like the generic scary sound number 2 in my ear. That's okay. The ghost is coming. Like now we're hanging out.
Right,
So it's like,
yeah.
I think the fun of the game comes from the experience of the people you're playing with. But if there are multiple people who aren't like necessarily super into the game, then it may like alter the fun someone's having with it, you know. But
Am I a party pooper?
no, I don't think so. I was gonna
Be honest with me.
No. I was gonna touch on this point too. It is hard right now, like especially in times like they are, to be in the Halloween mood because everyone's stuck at home, you know. No one's like out celebrating and doing stuff. So it's like, A, you don't want to play horror games. B, a lot of people aren't in the Halloween mood. So I could definitely see like how it feels forced. I love horror games. Like I love a really good horror game. But I'm not being like, it's October, let me go dig up like Alien Isolation and Resident Evil and like Silent Hill and all these really good games and just play them because it's Halloween. You know, I played them, I enjoy them, but I'm not in like the spoopy mood. You know, I'm not watching horror movies every night and Hocus Pocus and all this stuff.
Now, games like that, what's the second playthrough like?
It depends on the game. It definitely depends on the game. I generally do not play horror games like those a second time because most of the time it's like the first time experience. That's really what makes it. It's like when you play a game like Resident Evil again, or something that doesn't have the built-in mechanics where it's dynamically changing the game, it does not feel the same in my opinion. Like if I know I'm turning this corner and this zombie's gonna come out and grab me like every single time, then it's like the horror genre, that's where it loses, I think, a lot of its focus and a lot of its players because of that replayability. And that's why when it comes to horror games, for me, I don't like games like that. Like I do, speaking on like a game like first time run experience, but that's one that I won't go back to. You know, I'll play it once, I'll like it, and then it's its own thing. But I think that just comes with the genre. It's a tricky one. Horror is a very tricky genre.
You know what game sucks?
What game sucks?
Amnesia. I'm gonna say that all the time.
No, I'm kidding. Oh, Amnesia.
It's a you know, as a gamer, I think I owe it to myself to try to find the best in every genre. You know? Just like with music. I try to find the best. As someone that listens to literally everything from blues, jazz, death metal, reggae, you know, hip hop. I try to find the best in everything. And there are just a lot of games where I don't know, maybe I go into it trying to look for something and maybe I should just kind of like be vulnerable. But there are just some games where I'm just like, man, this just isn't fun to me. But there really are, like, I thought Resident Evil 7, I thought that was a fun game. Like it was kind of jump scary. You know, I wanted to know like what happened at the end, yada yada yada. I just don't see myself ever touching it again.
That's completely fair.
You know,
I think there's nothing
it's just like because I
that.
know exactly what's gonna happen.
I think with 7 there is some variety to it, and there is a lot of offshoot stuff you can do too that I don't think you really touched on. So there is some replayability. Maybe not enough for you to want to touch it again, but there is also like a VR mode you could eventually try maybe.
Oh, that's cool.
Which so there's things like that. I lost my train of thought. I know.
Choo choo.
It's gone. It's hard. It is really hard for horror because to build a really good horror game, there's a lot of like deep systems and mechanics that you need to integrate. It's not just like building a single player game. You need to, if you want to make a great experience, you need to be different every time you play, or you will lose 100% of your replayability.
So like stretching out to not even just gaming, Like even movies too. I the same thing with gaming with the horror genre.
Mhm.
So like does the same apply for movies? Like can you just go back every Halloween and watch the same scary movie like knowing what's going to happen? Like
I think it's the same discussion.
yeah,
It's like
I figured.
it's really, yeah, it's how it's like with movies. It's like games, we have replayability. With movies are like rewatchability. Is that a thing? Like there are movies that I absolutely love but will probably never watch again. And there are great movies that I'll watch over and over again. With horror movies, I think it's the same for me. There are a lot of horror movies that I will watch, like the Insidious movies. I love like Sinister, some classics, but those are movies with like a great story along with the horror elements, not just like a pop-up like jump scare movie or like a killer movie. Like there are a lot of good ones, but it's just like I was scared once, I'll probably never go to bed. And I really like horror movies that make you think. Those are my favorite kinds because those I will rewatch again because they make me think differently like every single time, even though I know it's going to happen. Like Shutter Island. I don't know if that's really a horror movie, but it's
No, that's
psychological
a
thriller.
yeah,
Like,
no, I that's a good way. That's actually a perfect movie to explain like what you're talking about.
exactly. Yeah, you catch new things every single watch.
So do you have like a summary and how you feel, what you think about like, I don't even know what this topic is. Spooky gaming, horror,
It's
just
horror genre.
Halloween.
This is why I like leaving
October
it open because we have
gaming.
these
Yeah.
we have these really good conversations about things that offshoot from the topic, you know. The point I was going to make earlier when I lost my train of thought with Amnesia is I think like Amnesia, it was sucked dry for so much content that probably when you got like the chance to play yourself, it's like, oh, this is it. When you see all these streamers like flipping back in their chairs,
That's
like
how I was
screaming.
with Phasmophobia.
Exactly. Like you've seen every possible reaction a human could make to this form of content, and now it's your turn to play. You're like, am I expected to react this way? Like, should I be like sprinting out the door, like screaming, or should I just be like, oh, there's like a model right here that looks like a scary dude. It's when you experience a game through content, it sets like a bar for when you actually try it, which is tough when it comes to this time of the year, because with a new game, with a new horror game, it's hard to get into it yourself now because there are so many people already playing it and you're watching it and absorbing all this content. It's a weird cycle, I guess. I don't know.
I think when it comes to the genre, I just need some substance behind it. I need it to try.
Absolutely.
I need it to want me to think. I don't want it just to be like a game. It's just I don't want the person to just be like, can I make him jump at this moment, you know?
Yeah, why invest your time into it when the person wouldn't invest their time into making the content for you?
Sure. Cool.
One way to put it.
Yeah, happy almost Halloween.
Happy almost Halloween, Paulie, and everybody.
Are you you dressing up this year? I know it's a little different times, but I don't know if you maybe just chilling in your apartment, I don't know, walking around
I look
town.
scary enough. I don't need to wear a Halloween outfit.
There it is.
A costume.
There it is.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I got this green suit.
The floating head
Blends in very nice with my
it's so
my green
good.
screen. I don't know how it would look in public, but
People have done it before. You might as well.
all right, let's tone it down a little bit.
Sure.
So every podcast, Brodey and I switch off with just a random funny question just to kind of, tone down from the main topic. What do you got for me? It's your week this week. What do you got?
It is my week. So last week we had the t-shirt question, right?
Yep.
The word on the t-shirt.
So I asked Brodey if you could have, so you have to wear a t-shirt every day for 1 year and it can only have one word on it.
Yep.
And what was
I
yours?
remember
Donut?
I think I said donut.
Donut?
I think it was donut.
I think mine was just
Yeah.
nerd.
Nerd, yeah.
I love that
was,
word, dude.
That was bouncing around.
Not even just because like I am a nerd, but it's just so funny. It's just like
you could be calling someone else a
it's
nerd.
it's like an insult, but a compliment, but
Exactly.
like a joke,
Exactly.
and it's just I don't know. It's like, what's up, nerd?
Exactly. I love it. So this week, my question for you,
Dude, lay it on me like a piece of cheese on a burger.
here comes that Ches. If you had to pick one song that played every time you entered a room, or so like your theme song, what would it be?
A theme song. You know, I used to really
every
be
time.
every time.
So no matter what the situation.
So like the first time you're just like, oh, this is badass, you know, and then you go into the doctor's office, and then you go.
Yep. Like you're walking in, like you're getting married, like it's playing for everybody to hear.
I used to be into wrestling, and I think the last wrestling game I played was probably like WWE SmackDown vs. Raw 2007. Great game, by the way. And I always used to think that. I was like, if I was a professional wrestler, like what would my intro song be? This is a little different though, because this brings in IRL
this
too.
Is situationally, yep.
You know,
the rest of your life you have to live with it.
You know, part of me wants to go with my roots and, you know, stick to something, one of my, you know, maybe one of my favorite death metal songs. I might have to tone it down a little bit just so I don't you know, give everyone a heart attack when I walk in the room. Maybe just like a lighter,
just screaming.
Just like maybe a little lighter metal tone.
Okay.
Maybe like some Megadeth. Or dude, I could even go
lighter.
Not Megadeth. I mean, compared to what I listen to.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe some reggae.
This
is a tough one. I do have
It is a tough one.
I do have Spotify in front of me. Let me see.
Just a quick browse.
Yeah, let me get a little quickie. Do you got yours prepared?
Easy answer.
All right. What let me check my. All right, what do you got for me? Let me hear.
Don't Lie by Shakira.
Oh, 100%. That's such low hanging fruit.
Every single time.
Oh my god.
You know it.
Jeez. I could say nothing and it would still be better than your answer.
You know you love it. Imagine.
It's funny.
Every time.
Every time. Like, oh, here comes Brodey.
What an entry.
Oh man, I just had that new door installed. I was just gonna break it open.
You just got hipped.
You know, I'd probably, you know, it's tough because I feel like I have to start with the genre and then kind of break it down from there.
Mm-hmm.
I think I gotta stay away from my death metal. I would just kind of rough. I'd feel like such an ass walking into places like, oh, look at this guy. Like, oh, look at him. He's hard as shit. Like,
he's hard as shit.
Like this dude's seen some things. This dude had a troubled
you're
childhood.
Just like smiling, just like kind of like walking in, like, what's up?
It's like a Mario t-shirt.
Exactly.
You know, I think I'd have to go either probably something reggae or classic rock.
Okay.
Maybe maybe like the Doors.
Ooh.
Yeah. Maybe I'd go with the Doors. I love the Doors. I grew up on the Doors. I feel like it's just fun. It's just catchy. Gets the heads moving, whenever you hear it.
Yeah. It's kind of the reason behind my answer too, is like, I love that song. Most people know that song, and it's just like a bop, it's got like some like Hispanic beats. It's got like a little rap in there.
Yeah.
It's just like,
maybe LA Woman by the Doors. That could be a fun one. Let's go with that one.
I like it.
Cool. That was a fun one. That was a fun one. All right, now that we're loosened up a bit, my favorite bit we do every podcast, Brodey and I, we'll choose a system beforehand, and then we'll go into the list of games for that system. We'll do a random letter generator, a random number generator, and we'll just pick a random game from that system. We'll play it. maybe for, like an hour or two, just to get a good feel for it, and we'll talk about it. Last podcast, Brodey and I agreed on the N64. Brodey got the pleasure of playing Hydro Thunder, and I got the pleasure of playing Duck Dodgers, starring Daffy Duck. I'm just going to get rid of the starring so I can get some alliteration in there. Duck Dodgers, Daffy Duck. Brodey, tell me all about Hydro Thunder. I'm excited.
Hydro Thunder. Woo! I was taken back, baby. Oh, I was taken back to the days.
So you played this one?
I have played a version of this game before. So for anyone who doesn't know, Hydro Thunder is an arcade racing game where you are this like speedboat. You're basically like this super high powered speedboat, and it's just a racing game. So you're in these like crazy wacky maps, like in a volcano or in like the middle of a city as a boat going through like rivers. And it's like a time trial racing game. So you're getting checkpoint to checkpoint, increasing your time so you can finish. So the first time I played this game was at an arcade. Actually, it's a midway game, so like they're focusing on arcade games.
Nice.
Yep. So if you remember ever going to like an arcade that was kind of like newer-ish or had like newer types of games, it had like the sea green seat with like the handle that looks like a throttle, and then the steering wheel with the two sides, not like the full steering wheel, and it was Hydro Thunder.
I feel like I've seen that.
If you've been
I'm
to
like trying to picture it now. Yeah.
Arcade, I guarantee you've seen it.
Yeah, while you're going, let me look up a thing real quick.
So they like the Thunder games are like a series of games. So there's Arctic Thunder.
Oh, I know Arctic Thunder.
So the snowmobiling game.
Oh,
it's the
no
same
way.
thing. But yeah, it's the same thing. Yep. So I loved Arctic Thunder. That was so much fun. You could play as the polar bear.
Like, yeah, I've seen
this. Oh yeah. So they did. I think it was originally for the Sega Genesis, and then after that it came for the N64 and the PlayStation. So the N64 one is that I played, and I did look up video of the arcade game, and they are a bit different.
Oh, they are. I remember you were wondering that.
Yep. Yeah, the port is a little bit different. So the UI is different, and then the graphics are a little changed, but for the most part, the game still super holds up. I actually played a few hours of this, like unlocking all the levels and the boats and stuff, because I was just having such a blast. Like it's just a fun, like action-packed racing game. The races are like super quick, so you can kind of just like fly through it. But it was, I had a blast. This is the first game that I actually like enjoyed playing so far.
What do you mean, dude?
A good game.
What do you mean? Like, I thought that dog game was
enjoying for the content versus enjoying for the game,
Yeah. What was that dog game called again?
Family Dog.
Family Dog.
Yeah, the terribly treated Family Dog.
So Brodey, I have a trivia question for you.
Oh boy.
What genre of gaming did the N64 do best?
3D platforming.
What genre of gaming were like 90% of the N64 games?
3D platformers.
Duck Dodgers, starring Daffy Duck, a 3D platformer.
Beautiful.
It was, dude. This game was great.
It's good.
I was actually playing it. I forget if I think it was the night after the podcast. I think I hopped right into it, or the night after. It was really fun. It was if you grew up on games like Banjo-Kazooie, those maybe like Donkey Kong 64, those style of 3D platformers where you go into a level, you have your certain amount of collectibles you have to collect, yada yada yada. Then this game is basically that. Yep. With a Looney Tunes skin on it.
Exactly.
And the main character, obviously, Daffy Duck. And what got me the most about this game was how well it ran and like how polished it was. It didn't, when it comes to games like these where it's just like they're a known entity, like Looney Tunes and stuff like that. I feel like you could just hit up a random developer and just be like, hey, make a Looney Tunes game in time for Christmas. And it'll sell. There you go. Surf's up. Exactly like that. It's just like, all right, we need a Looney Tunes game. This new Looney Tunes movie just came out. Hey, make a game. It'll sell. It'll be crap, but it'll sell. Whatever.
Yeah.
So it was actually really good and pretty polished. It wasn't developed. It was published by Atari. which I thought was interesting.
Hmm.
But it was fun. You start, it's space themed, so you have like a little space blaster. You're Daffy Duck. You get off your spaceship. You're on this planet. You go around. You're collecting the little collectibles, and
Yep.
the banter is funny between like the characters and stuff like that. I was running it on. I have a GPD. It's like it looks like a 3DS, but
Yep.
it's just like a strip, and it runs a stripped down Android OS.
Yep. It's like an
I
emulator.
own the game, by the way. I don't encourage piracy.
Oh,
I own
nope.
the game IRL. But I was playing it on that, and N64 is like a hit or miss when it comes to emulating. And so I thought this game would just be like a throwaway, whatever. Maybe I'll break out the N64 and play it, just actually play it on that. But it ran so well on the handheld that I just kept running with it. I was
That's
just like,
awesome.
all right, it's just like, all right, I'm doing my podcast game, checking it out. I was like, oh wait, this platform is really nice. And then next thing you know, like I'm grabbing onto a rocket, and I have to like maneuver the rocket to get around like this little this area, and I missed the first couple times, and I wanted to get it so bad. I was like, ooh, I'm gonna get it. Then I got around the corner, and then it's just like it didn't feel choppy. I was able to, when you're jumping on like floating platforms and stuff, and back on the N64, the camera was like a little choppy and everything.
Yep.
And dude, it went well. Obviously fell a couple times, but it wasn't frustrating. I didn't feel like it was the camera or the game that was messing me up. I felt like it was just me. I was like, all right, I have to get this down. You got a nice little jump, which is good. The jump didn't feel like weird. You can control it really well, which is obviously very important in a platformer.
Yeah.
And dude, it was just a fun game, and I found myself probably playing like 2 to 3 hours of it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that was
I knew
definitely
the N64 was gonna be a good one.
Duck Dodgers starring Daffy Duck.
Hell yeah.
That was a good one. So Brodey and I, we wanted to stick with systems that we have access to the games for. We wanted to try one a little different this week and see how it goes. If it doesn't work out well, then we'll just switch it up and we'll let everyone know next episode. Brodey and I were big fans of the PS2. We're actually going to try the PS2 out. It's a little tougher because when it comes to PS2, the games are starting to get deeper. It's harder to get the full experience within a couple hours of play, unlike a lot of games prior to maybe like 2001, where you kind of know, minus a couple great SNES JRPGs and stuff like that. But so we just wanted to try out the PS2, see where it goes. And yeah, so Brodey and I, we pulled our numbers before. We haven't pulled our games yet. And we're about to find out right now. The thing with the PS2 is that console had a lot of games.
There's a ton of games.
There's a ton of games on the PS2.
Many.
So we're gonna try it out. If it doesn't work behind the scenes, we'll just be like, hey, yada yada yada. Let's switch it up
We'll put it out. Yeah.
We'll switch it up to whatever. Maybe I was checking out the PSP. That could be fun.
Oh my goodness, there's some gems on the PSP too.
There really are. And I feel like they're a little easier to digest, like what we're looking for in this podcast. So Brodey got W. And there are 76 W games. So
crazy.
Random number generator. 76. What's Brodey got? Okay, so we got 23. Well, I shouldn't say 76 total. I should say 76 that we have access to.
Yeah, available.
Because man, were there a lot of games on the PS2, man.
Who knows how many there are
Toledo.
actually.
Okay. You wanna? I don't know. What? Tell me a little more about Hydro Thunder.
Hydro Thunder is a good racing game. I actually like this game. Literally made me want to find an arcade just to play this again, just like waste time on, because it was so much fun. And I was thinking of like Arctic Thunder. And the best part of Arctic Thunder was they had like the cold fan blowing on your face as you were snowmobiling, if you remember that.
Oh, of course I remember. That was like the
Oh,
biggest seller for me.
it's so good. That 4D experience.
So I
Man,
think my letter might have the most games in it. I got S.
that's ridiculous.
So do you want to just
Yeah.
fill in like a 30 seconds or so?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for this topic, it's like Paulie said, you get the face value from a lot of older games. So when you're getting into like the 360 and PS3 with these more like in-depth games, it's a lot harder. So I think what we've done, like the Game Boy, we've done the SNES, now the N64, and maybe like we'll try like GameCube and stuff like that. Maybe some like mobile titles more. They're a lot easier because we don't want to be sinking like hours and hours into these games unless you obviously want to, and it's like an actual like good title like the ones we got this week, which is very exciting.
You ready for our games?
No.
So Brodey, you have Wild Arms 4
Wild Arms 4
for the PS2, and I have Shepherd's Crossing. I've heard of Wild Arms. I've never heard of Shepherd's Crossing.
I think I'm the opposite. I think I've heard of Shepherd's Crossing.
I'm just gonna look at the cover
Yeah.
real quick. Oh, this is definitely like, oh, this looks like, oh, it's like a Harvest Moon style game, I think.
I've seen this before because I remember.
Oh my
like
god, it's literally like
the
Harvest Moon.
isometric.
All right.
Wow.
All right.
It's gonna be interesting. Wild Arms 4 for the PS2. Oh boy. Oh my god. All right, I'm not gonna look too much into it right now. That looks wild. I'm excited.
All right, cool. So yeah, that's gonna be. Those are gonna be our games.
2 Wednesdays from now.
So, all right, cool. I'm looking forward to that. Next up, our top 3 as voted by our lovely. I don't want to say fans. I don't think they're community. Our our friends, our awesome listeners.
Three.
So as voted on our Twitter, please follow our Twitter at Did You Save PC. The PC does stand for podcast. Top 3 disappointing game launches, obviously.
Already.
Number 3. What do you got, Brodey?
So, these selections from me are more like personal disappointing launches. I guess we could have taken it like, I don't know how you exactly took it.
Sure, whatever you want.
We could have taken
whatever
it like,
you want it to be.
Like flops or whatever. But for these are like,
I just did ones that affected me. Yeah.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So for number 3, I have The Last Guardian.
The Last Guardian.
Team Ico.
That's PS4, right? Same
PS4.
Friends that made Shadow of the Colossus.
Same friends that made my Shadow of the Colossus.
Now, I didn't play that. Tell me.
I'll tell you.
Tell me.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. I was actually very interested in this game.
Yeah.
And I just remember the main character being Trico, right?
Trico.
And yeah,
Trico
I just remember I was like, hey, that's a Pokemon. I can relate.
Yep. So, I mean, to sum this game up, it's a story action puzzle game. So you play, I can't remember the name off the top of my head. You play this little kid who finds himself with this monster cute creature named Trico, and you are basically trying to progress through levels, through puzzle solving, interacting with the creature, and there's combat, but there isn't combat. It's mainly puzzle solving. And the reason this is on my list is because I've talked about this before. Shadow of the Colossus is my favorite game of all time. Team Ico fucking hit a grand slam with this game. Like it's amazing. And Ico before it is also an amazing game too. So Last Guardian was announced in 2009 to the public. And I believe they started development on it 2 years prior, so 2007. And it was delayed and delayed and delayed and hyped up until 2016 when it finally came out. And it wasn't really until the game came out after that we found out all of like the mishaps and the stuff that was going on behind the scenes. But with the delays, they kept building up this hype. Like, it's going to be the next Shadow of the Colossus. Like, this is going to be epic. Like, it's going to be a new scale of like game. And it really wasn't, unfortunately. I praise the game for its like art, the music, and the story itself are very good, but the gameplay, like, it kills the hype like almost immediately. Unfortunately, like, the AI is super janky for Trico. And this actually kind of exists in Shadow of the Colossus 2, which was kind of fixed with the remasters and stuff, but like ledge grabbing and movement with the main character is very janky as well. It's just like, I had such high expectations coming from the people who made my favorite game of all time that I think this was a huge flop for me, like in the eyes of the game. But it's rough. This happens a lot with games that get delayed and overhyped, and then they finally come out and it's like, meh. People are worried about that with Cyberpunk now. So I think this one, and I put it at 3 because the game is still like, it's still good, but it's very disappointing to me personally. That's why it's number 3 for me.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
At number 3, I got Bless Online.
Bless Online.
There's a reason you haven't heard of it.
No. Yeah.
It is an MMO. My buddy and I were really excited about this. I mean, everyone I feel like's been craving the next MMO for a while. Yeah. This was a couple years back. I want to say early 2018. My friend Ricky and we were just like really looking to something to grab onto, and this game was really hyped up in like the MMO community. So many people were talking about it. They were starting to release like characters and builds, and my friend, before the game even come out, we were sitting down, we were talking like what type of characters we're gonna make and everything. And this game I don't think it exists anymore. I think they just pulled the plug on the game. Oh. So like day one, it finally comes out. I think I took off work. I think I think my friend Ricky took off work, if I remember correctly, and we were just so excited. Obviously, MMOs day one, servers are full, yada yada yada, exactly. Stuff like that. That's expected.
Yeah.
This game, not only did it take about 3 hours to even get into a game.
Wow.
Once you finally got into the game, it was unplayable. It was janky. You can barely move. And obviously, like games that are very congested day one, that's understandable. And it kind of spreads itself out over time.
It still happens today.
There's a reason this game was literally, they pulled the plug on it. It was just so unplayable. It was so bad. We were so disappointed. There was so much hype for it. And the worst part about it was, like I said, it took me over 3 hours just to try to get into the game, just to try to get it to work, just to try to get my character to move. I tried getting a refund from Steam, and they said no, because you played it for like over 3 hours. I was like, I literally spent that time trying to look at the game, and you guys won't even give me a refund. Like they knew too that this game was like an absolute horror show.
Yeah.
And just like, to the MMO community, and not that I'm like embedded in it, but just the people that were talking about it, they were just really disappointed. My friend and I were really disappointed. Everyone's been trying to look for that next MMO for a while.
Yep.
And every game feels like it's gonna be it.
Yeah.
And we were just so excited for this one. It just didn't.
Yep.
Just didn't happen, man. The icing to the cake for me was not being able to get the refund.
Right. Yeah. It's like such a terrible experience. Like, oh no, you paid for it.
I was so upset. And like, the thing is, okay, you have a bad launch, right?
Mm-hmm.
You improve over time. Games like Final Fantasy 14 had a bad launch. That's an MMO.
Yeah. ESO had a bad launch.
ESO had a bad launch. It's kind of expected.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, you can't make this game, this genre good until the players kind of make the game. The community makes MMOs, the economy, the community, just like the builds, the metas, everything is community driven.
Yeah, it's rough. Hey, we'll hopefully Ashes of Creation will come out in 2030 and it'll be great, right? Right.
What do you got at number 2?
Number 2, this one's, I think my next two are kind of similar across a lot of people, but my number 2 is No Man's Sky.
Okay.
Yeah, it's this.
I'm actually
I've
happy
even
you're
talked
talking about this.
before.
Yeah.
What was that?
I'm actually happy you brought this one up because I didn't, but like
I almost didn't.
I was
because it is
hovering.
so
I was hovering over the thought of it.
Yeah, because this one, it was also like a personal flop for me because I had followed the development of this game since it was even like it was brought to the public, and it's just sad. Forward, this game is amazing now. It is very good now because the developers stuck with it and they put the work into making it into the state that it is today, and it's fantastic. I'm highly recommend it. But when it launched, I don't think I touched the game for like 2.5 years after. It was just empty. Like there was nothing to do. You weren't supposed to be able to get to the center of the universe, and I did in like 2 hours, I think. Just by like farming materials, filling the hyperdrive, and just going. But sorry, this, if no one knows what No Man's Sky is, it's like an open world space exploration game that's supposed to be infinite. So it's all like procedurally generated. You can fly into planets, and there's creatures and like settlements and stuff. But a lot of the stuff that they had promised and they had said is going to be the game was like the empty shell of what they promised. Like there were hints, like they were supposed to be able, like you weren't technically supposed to be able to run into another person, but you could. And then when somebody finally did it, it was just this little floating speck of a ball, and that was the person. So, and there was just like, there really was just nothing to do. And this game was so hyped to be like the new open world exploration game where it's just like vast, like infinite amounts of content. But unfortunately, they weren't very vocal in public about the issues that they ran into during development, and that kind of turned on them when the game launched. I think if they were more vocal about it and told the community like, hey, this is what's happening, like one of their studios got flooded at one point and they lost a ton of work. If they would have done that, even delayed the game a little more to put some more touches into it, I think it would have been better. But because this game was so hyped for me and a lot of other people, it was just very sad to see this game come out in the state that it did. But like I said, it's so much better now. It was just at that point, this was a huge disappointment.
Feels bad. It's good to hear that. Like even now, I haven't really played it before, but it's a game that kind of still interests me to this day. You know,
there
so it's
still
good
has
that
a ton of players playing it.
Yeah.
And yeah, the content is huge. They've added so much to it.
It's good that
crazy.
they stuck with it.
Yep.
I want to say the year was 2016. I was hanging out with a couple friends, my online my IRL friends that I play online games with as well.
Yep.
And we were watching, I want to say it was either E3 or the Game Awards.
Okay.
And this game, it looked like it was going to change everything. It was going to be like that online game that the boys were looking for.
Oh no.
Anthem.
Oh no.
Anthem. Holy crap, man. The build up, the anticipation, the trailer, it just checked all the boxes.
Mm-hmm.
I'll accept one thing. EA, that didn't really check the box.
But BioWare though.
BioWare checked the box. And it looked great, dude. Everything about it, we just the second we saw it, all of our brains just linked as one, just like, this is the game, boys. Like, we are gonna send it. It's gonna be such a great time.
The immediate virtual fist bump, like
it instantly, dude. And following it over the years, it was so exciting. The marketing was great. What a disappointing game that was.
Of a game.
Like, to the point where very shortly after that game became nearly free. Like, they just wanted to like get it off the shelves. It was so bad. There was just like, dude, the first like story missions were so tedious and boring, and it was just like such a grind sesh at such an early stage that felt like it should have been, I don't know, like end game stuff or something.
Yep.
It was so buggy and glitchy. It didn't run well. It was, man, and it looked all right.
Graphics were fine.
It
Yeah,
looked
they were
all
good.
right. But it just like it wasn't, dude. Even
Mhm.
the developer came out and was just like, we know this
Yeah.
was like a failure of a game, a failure of a launch. Like, we
They announced
apologize.
that they're doing like a
Yeah,
rework of it, right? And they're
they
still trying to do it.
like
Maybe
it's like unheard of.
it is.
Like they know it was so bad that they're actually trying to make like a 2.0 version of it.
So weird.
And it was just so
weird.
sad, just because like just like with the MMO, it's
Yeah.
that genre that just really, you just need it, dude. You just need it with
Mhm.
friends, and it's just it's that thing you want to come home to after work,
Yep.
and get everyone together and play. And it was just
Hop on,
so
squat up, and just chill.
it was just so bad, and it just
Mm-hmm.
nothing about it was just it was just bad.
Yep. I know.
And yeah, but I don't know, man. Anthem number
I was
2.
right there with you. Spiritually, I was right there with you.
So what do you got? What do you got for number 1?
Number 1.
Number one.
Number 1. Mine's actually a very similar reason for yours, for your number 2. And Anthem was actually, it was almost on my list. I almost didn't put The Last Guardian on there as a respect to Shadow of the Colossus, and it was going to put Anthem instead, but I didn't. But very similarly, my number 1 is Destiny.
That's 1 or 2?
1.
Okay.
The first Destiny.
So I didn't play Destiny 1. I did play Destiny 2.
It hurt. So, backstory: this was the same exact thing. It was announced. We're all watching. We're like, is this like an MMO Halo? Like, are we gonna be able to like explore and like play together? And that's exactly what they sold it as. They sold it as an MMO with a hub world where you would all group together, you would play, and then you would do like missions and fight and PvP and PvE raids, yada yada yada. But man, that game was empty. It hurts. Like the core mechanics of Destiny, rock solid. I think it's one of the best feeling first person shooters, Destiny and Destiny 2 still. But it's just, there's nothing. Like, there's the campaign, which is trash.
That was my issue with 2. Once I beat the game, dude, I was just like, wait,
they did the same thing. I'll get into that.
This is your end game? Okay, yeah.
They did the same thing again, basically. But yeah, the story is nothing. And my friend will argue that there's a story, but it's not in the game. It's in like the books and stuff. I'm like, that doesn't count. That's not the game. But yeah, it's just like there was huge like farming issues. You had to grind like up the wazoo to get gear and levels, and the raids, man, you had to have a certain amount of people. Like, it hurts. Like, this was the game me and the boys were going to be playing and like spending the time into. And I think the worst part is, and kind of because it was like a lot of personal to me, is that this is when we all had broken off to go to college. I think this came out, it was either my freshman year or sophomore year when I was like in campus college. So we were all gonna be playing this remotely. And I remember just sitting there like, this is the game. Like, what else? What is there to do? Like, this is awful. Like, this hurts me. Like, it's Bungie. Like, they made Halo. Like, what is happening? Like,
literally how I
out.
felt about 2.
Oh man, it's like, I will admit, I dropped it like almost immediately after getting it, and then the Taken King came out, and like the huge expansion and all this like DLC and stuff, and my friends got back into it, and they're like, hey, no, Brodey, you have to play it. It's okay now. And I did get back into it, and I did enjoy it, but I still didn't like it because they were building off this model that, hey, we're going to release a $60 game that's like a quarter of a game, and then we're going to make you pay another $120 to get the rest of the game that we'll make and put out eventually. And then with Destiny 2, they do the same exact thing. Destiny 2 launch is empty. It's there's nothing to do. And like, oh no, don't worry, we have like a 4-year plan track.
That's exactly how they said it too. They were like, yeah, we have like this long-term plan with it. It's like
exactly. It's such a terrible model for gaming, and it's such a terrible precedent. Like as a developer too, this hits me hard because it's like, if you're gonna make a game, make a game. Like there's games as a service, and this is not something that should be that level unless it is like a true MMO level. I don't know. I could rant about it all day, but I'll stop there. Destiny, Paulie, hit me with your number one.
Error 37. Do you know what that is?
Error 37?
That is the message that continuously popped up every time I tried to play Diablo 3.
Diablo, I knew it.
Ah!
I knew
My
it.
God, dude. My cousin,
Yeah.
my cousin and I and our best friend, man, we grinded D2 so much, man. That was our life. Diablo 2 was our life, man. And Diablo 2 is such a great game. It's so raw, it's so simple. It's like the definition of the genre.
Yep.
And Diablo 3, man, waited so long for this game to come out. I think over 10 years for it to come out. I remember being at GameStop. I think another game came out that night, and there was a midnight launch, and I think another game came out. So like it was like a multi-launch midnight launch type thing.
Yep.
And there were a bunch of kids there for something. I forget what it was, but there was like this choice group of kids at the time that were there for D3, and we were sitting there, man. We were so excited. We're just like, dude, we've been waiting so long for this. Like, just can't wait to go home, pop the CD in the computer. Oh my God, it's gonna be great. You couldn't. So this game, so with Diablo 2, or Diablo 1 as well, if you wanted to play the story or whatever, you could just play it offline. You could do single player.
Yeah.
This game started off with, it was like an online only game. So if you wanted to do the campaign or anything, you had to be online.
Yep.
The issue with this game at launch, you couldn't get online.
Okay. I forgot.
Every time you tried connecting to this game, you'd get booted out and it would say error 37.
Yep.
And it was just so bad, man. There was barely. By the way, Diablo 3 is pretty decent today. It's
good.
It's a pretty good game. It runs really well. It runs great on consoles. It's pretty good. It was so bad when it launched. There was zero end game, man. There was an auction house, like a real-time auction house that you can buy stuff with real money. That in itself was scammy. It was a crap show. Excuse my language. And it was just like, this was like my game, you know, like everyone has their game that they're waiting for. And Diablo 3 was just that one, man. It was supposed to come out 3 years prior. They kept pushing it back, kept pushing it back. It finally came out, man, and it was just like the biggest disappointment. Once you were finally able to get on and play with friends, you got to endgame. The endgame sucked. There was nothing, and that's the biggest thing with this genre. Like, the story doesn't matter. Nothing matters. The only thing that matters is what you do once you beat the game. Everything after that, the grind, the collecting of the items. This game sucked when it launched, man. It was so.
I forgot.
It was so riddled.
Much of a mess that was.
It was so riddled with bugs and errors and server issues and then the thing was, it wasn't an MMO. You can have 4 players in a party at a time. So like, you know, it's frustrating when you can't get that together, you know?
Yeah.
I'm not a developer, you know. I don't know how the servers work, yada yada yada. But it's not an MMO, so it's less expected. You know. It's just literally just an online game with online game with 4 friends, and it was just riddled with issues. No end game, barely any content. So sad. And the thing about it was like I said, D3 is good today, but I was so turned off by my initial experience that like I've gone back into it, I've played it, and I'm just like, I don't want it lost me, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like it
That's
it
fair.
had me and then it
That's
lost
fair.
me. And I was
Mhm.
just I was so sad, man.
It is sad. But hey, like the good trend with the games that we've listed are that most of them they've gotten better, you know, that they've
Definitely.
been stuck with, or some of them. I guess not most of them. But
And the thing too, like, it's Blizzard, you know?
mm-hmm.
It's freaking Blizzard, man.
It's Blizzard.
Get it together. Come on.
Come on. What are you doing?
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us today. Please follow on Twitter. Did you save PC? We have a YouTube, don't we? Where we post our
we
VODs.
do. Subscribe to our YouTube. I think it's just Did You Save?
Lit. Awesome. Brodey, thank you so much for
Thank
today.
you, Paulie.
Anyone that was, hanging out in chat, we're about to go hang out in a second, but I just wanted to give out the closing words. Like I said, I apologize for. I feel like I'm staring right at you, but I feel like you're probably not looking at me, so that kind of makes
that bird was just flying into your window over and over again.
It just makes for weird interaction. But I think you did really well, Brodey. I apologize for that.
You're fine.
But cool. I'm looking forward to Shepherd's Crossing and Wild Arms 4. Also, guys, we're always looking for top 3 suggestions. If you guys want to hit up the Discord, join Brodey's Discord. I think I got that in a command in chat. I'm not too sure.
I think it's a command.
But either on the Twitter or in the Discord. And yeah, we're always looking for suggestions because we pull the top 3 from suggestions, and then we have the fam or community, whatever we want to call everyone. We have everyone vote for it. So that'd be great. GG's, Brodey.
GG's.